I'm back. Been away because exam season and it got on top of me and I'm completely behind on everything. Let's just move past it. It's happened now. Exams are over. All is good. Yay. That was really weirdly vocalised. There you go. Today I am going to be talking about Mosquitoland by David Arnold. Basically this book was so much more of a surprise to me than I was ever expecting, which is kind of the definition of a surprise, but I wasn't expecting to get as attached to the book as I did. I don't think this is some sort of literary masterpiece, but it is possibly one of my favourite books, definitely my favourite book that I've read this year, though we are only halfway through, so that could change, but I just really enjoyed it. Firstly, I love travel books, so not necessarily books of people doing a lot of travelling, but I like when they're going on a physical journey as well as a metaphorical one. I really like sort of road trips and things like that, and this whole book is set around a road trip. As such, I kind of fell in love with it. I also really like the character. It's very rare that I find female protagonists, especially of sort of in the YA genre, that I find them very identifiable or likeable. Normally they're too much of one type of stereotype, and I'm not saying she's not a stereotype. She has some very I'm looking up, so it's been so long since I've read this. Mim, sorry. I'm not saying Mim is not a stereotype, that's the main protagonist. I just think she's more likeable, more three-dimensional than most female YA characters that I read. That's the that I read about, sorry. So that's a reason I think I really liked it. Sometimes I really annotate books and sometimes I barely write in them. I think it's depending on the language and things used. Normally young adult books, the ones I annotate the most, because more young adult contemporaries. But I really like sort of the metaphors they use. They might be somewhat cliched, but I still really enjoy them. I do think there's some really beautiful things. I also love the chapter headings in this book. Just wanted to put that out. So there's a thing's not a thing until you say it out loud, and then just the uncomfortable nearness of strangers. And I just annotated chapter headings are perfect. I don't know if I agree with all of them, but I do really like the way it's chapterized. I love the random drawings. I don't know if you could see them in there, but it does very much feel like her journal slash letters she's writing. It's kind of a bit of both. She's writing it in letter form, but it is more like a journal, sort of documenting is what I'm looking for, documenting her trip. Predominantly, this book is about the character Mim, and her parents have just got a divorce and she's been made to move with her dad to Mississippi with his new partner. However, she still has this real attachment and connection to her mum and thinks that her mum needs her, and so she's travelling across states to get back to her mother, basically. She sort of takes money from her stepmom, who she really hates, and then is travelling across and meets people along her way, and her journey kind of completely changes and she makes some great connections with some people. I don't really want to go into too much detail because I don't want to hit spoiler territory. But there's something about this book that is so heartwarming and uplifting, and I really enjoyed everything about it. I really connected to it. I really connected to Mim. I really found myself caring about her and about her journey. And even though in some places she was rather annoying, and not, I don't want to say teenage angsty, but it was a little bit angsty, and I'm not trying to take away from angst because angst is justified, but there was parts when I did find her quite irritating, but I kind of looked past them because I really liked her as an overall person and character, both as a person and a character, which is also rare. I don't normally like both the person and the character. She was interesting to read about as well as likeable, is basically what all that rambling was about. I also like the way the book tackles mental health. I really like the fact that mental health is kind of a subject in the book, but it's not the focus of the book. I find with a lot of books where the protagonist is suffering with a mental health disorder, that kind of becomes the book's focus, and it's all about like somebody who is depressed, and that's the whole story, which I'm not taking away from. You do need those stories, but it was really refreshing and nice to see a character who was suffering with a mental health disorder and trying to cope with it and sort of go for a treatment type phase. I don't really know what stage she's at. It's quite hard to define. But that wasn't the only part of her story, wasn't the only part of her journey, wasn't the only part that made made up her is just not a good sentence. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today. It wasn't the only thing that defined her, and I really liked that, because when somebody does suffer with a mental health disorder, it's not their defining feature. It's they're a person with this. They're not this. If that makes sense. And I think this book did that really well, like really well. So I really enjoyed that. I also love the cover. It's really simple. It's not like amazing, but there's something about it that I really warm to. It's slightly faded. I really like the colours and the font being used. I also love how soft this book is. This is all really random things, but I was getting it in just doing this. This is going to really upset some people for ages, because it feels really floppy, like a proper paperback. I really felt like I was reading a book when I got this. This sounds insane, so even though people might not know what I'm talking about. But sometimes when I read a book, I really, I enjoy the experience of reading a book, and this really heightened it for me. It also has a really nice smell to it. I just love everything about this book. I love, some of the lines, just combination of sanitizer, tacos, and pig-headed denial. I really like this book. Like, my quote for Conversations with a Stranger has been officially been met. I think it's because it really, she really reminded me of a younger me, or at least a younger me, my internalised younger me, maybe not my external younger me, but I really identified with the thoughts she was having and the feelings and the I think what I liked about her is she knew she was quite over dramatic, and a lot of the things she was focused on were not necessarily significant. However, they were still things she was focusing on, and she was kind of in a bit of a conflict. At least that's how I interpreted it. There's also something she comes out with that made me laugh hysterically. This book did make me laugh out loud, and also feel quite emotional. I can't say a bad word about this book. I'm sure there are bad things about this book, and I just am not noticing them. But I really connected with it on an emotional level. I have such a connection now with this book, and it is going to be one of my favourite books, I think, for a very long time. So I'm going to look at other stuff David Arnold has written and see if I can get a hold of it, because there's something maybe about his writing style or the character or the story. I don't know what connected with me so deeply, but something really connected with me on a level that I don't quite understand, and this is definitely my favourite book of the year so far. So yeah, that's what I thought Mosquito Land. If anyone else has read Mosquito Land, let me know what they think. Or if you've got a book that's either David Arnold suggestions or this kind of YA contemporary road trip kind of genre, if there's a book similar to this that you think I should be reading, please leave it below in the comments, because I would love to go through suggestions. I always need new book suggestions, despite the fact that my TBR pile is over 100 books. I could always do with more. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say about that. Again, I just want to apologise for not making videos and people actually watch this, but I kind of feel like I've been away for a very long time now. But I just got completely overwhelmed with the amount of stuff I had to do, and the videos just became like my lowest priority. So there you go, but I'm looking forward to making them again, because I do really enjoy doing this. I really like talking about books and things like that. So even if no one else enjoys watching them, I enjoy making them in the process of just discussing books I've read. It's nice to catalogue it, really. Yeah. So I hope everyone is well, and I shall see you soon. Bye!